Making the perfect ball in crochet doesn't have to be complicated, and in this video I will share the ultimate formula to make perfect amigurumi balls in any size. And believe me, this formula never fails. I've been making amigurumi for more than a year now, and probably 99% of them have a spheric shape as part of the body. Think about a head, belly, or a muzzle. In fact, a ball or a sphere is one of the basic shapes in amigurumi, and you will discover that lots of other shapes are simply variations of a ball. And by learning how to construct a ball in amigurumi, you will also understand how you can create any 3D form in crochet. In this video, I will show you how to make the perfect ball for amigurumi, as well as explaining how the pattern works and how this magic formula can be applied for any size you want to make. So let's start with our materials. We're gonna need some yarn, a crochet hook, stitch markers, a darning needle, scissors, and some stuffing. Before we start, a quick disclaimer. For this tutorial, I will use the yarn under technique. It's just my favorite when working with amigurumi toys, and you can see here the difference. Yarn under will make your piece smaller as the stitches build up in a tighter structure. This also means that you will generally use less yarn. Feel free to yarn over if you prefer. The outcome will be exactly the same, and if you want to learn more about the yarn under technique, I have a video on my channel, which you will also find in the description below. Let's have a look at the structure of a ball. We will need to start from the top to work on our circumference. As the first step, we need to enlarge the circumference of our ball. This is going to be our first part. And to do so, we are going to make increases. Once we reach the desired circumference, we basically now need to work on the central part. And we're going to only single crochet around. So we're not going to make an increase, but we're just going to make one single crochet for each stitch. And finally, we need to narrow the bottom part. And to do so, we're going to do instead the decrease, which means that we're going to decrease the number of stitches for each one. The question now though is how many rounds of increases we are going to do in the first part, how many rounds of single crochet around, and how many rounds of decreases do we need to do in order to get to the perfect shape. Well, let me show you. To make a bow, we're starting with the magic ring, and if you're not familiar with the magic ring technique, have a look in my other video in the description below where I explain how to make it. We're going to start with the 6 single crochet into the magic ring. Let's close our ring, and this will be our first round. For the second round, in order to expand the width of our bow, we make increases in each stitch. So we're going to increase 6 times, and this will bring us to a final count of 12 at the end of this round. I'm going to mark the first stitch of this round, so I'm going to always know where to start and where to finish. For the third round, we want to increase again the circumference of the bow, but this time we're going to add one single crochet between each increase. Therefore, we're going to make one single crochet and one increase until the end of the round, which will be again for 6 times. So at the end of the round, the count will be 18. We made one single crochet and 2 single crochet in the next one. And we continue like that for 6 times. For the fourth round, we want the size to enlarge again, and we add another single crochet between increases. So this time it will be 2 single crochet increase for 6 times. One little tip though, to make the bow surface without bumps, we will stagger where we position the increases. In this case, the bow will look more round and not pointy where we make our increases. Therefore, we're going to start this round with 1 single crochet, 1 increase and 1 single crochet, and again we're going to repeat this for 6 times. At the end of the round, we are going to have 24 stitches. And finally, for the fifth round, which will be our last one where we increase, we add another single crochet between the increases. So this time we have 3 single crochet, 1 increase, repeated for 6 times. We will end up the round with 30 stitches. Now we start to build the sides of our bow. And here is where we need to use the magic formula. Let's count how many rounds we've done so far. So we basically made 5 rounds. So very simply, we need now to make the same number of rounds by making just a single crochet round, meaning no increase this time, just 1 single crochet for each stitch. So for each of these additional 5 rounds, the stitch count at the end will stay at 30. So here we have our 5 rounds of single crochet round plus our 5 rounds of increase at the top. This is actually a good time to start stuffing your bow. You will need to keep doing it as you work into the next rounds, but I find this to be a good moment to start shaping our sphere and build some of the structure inside. Now we need to close the bow, and to do so we need to decrease the number of stitches for each round. And here there is another easy way to know exactly what to do. And it is basically by working the next round in reverse from what we have done with the increase. So if we look at round 5, we made 3 single crochet and 1 increase for 6 times. So in this round, what you do is to replace the increases with the decrease. This means that we will make 3 single crochet and 1 decrease for 6 times. We'll be using the invisible decrease technique. If you've never heard of it, it's a way to decrease by leaving a smoother surface on your project and avoid the stitches to look too bulky. So we start by making 3 single crochet. This is going to be 1, 2, and 3. And now for the invisible decrease, we're going to insert our hook into the first loop only. So you can see there's 2 pieces that form the V of the stitch. We're going to go underneath the front one, so the one that's facing you. So once you actually have inserted it, you insert it again into the next stitch and just in the front loop only. Then you grab your yarn, you pull through both, pull up a loop, and then you conclude your stitch as usual. And in this way, it's gonna be less noticeable and it's gonna look way much better on your bow. So let's continue 3 single crochet, 1 decrease until the end of the round. Something that might be tricky when you work on the invisible decrease is that you might not be super sure if this is the next stitch or this one. So what I try to do is to try to have a look where do you find a full stitch, like when you can see clearly both of these strands of yarn that forms the V, and you should be sure that this is the next stitch. And you can see how our bowl is starting to get narrower and is starting to point inside. So for the next round, we're going to do exactly the same. So we're going to look at round number 4, where we basically made 1 single crochet, 1 increase, and 1 single crochet for 6 times. And we reverse it. So instead of an increase, we're going to do a decrease. So for round number 12, we're going to make 1 single crochet, 1 decrease, 1 single crochet for 6. And this is gonna get us to 18 stitches at the end of this round. Time to stuff again. Now for round 13, we're going to look at round number 3. And now we do 1 single crochet and 1 decrease for 6 times. And again, this will bring us to an end count of 12. Let's stuff again a little bit. It's important to keep stuffing before we close this hole too much, because otherwise it's going to be more difficult to get the stuff in. But especially because we're getting so close to the end that now we're going to be able to see where do we need to add a little bit more stuffing to make our shape more balanced. And now into round 14, we are going to make 6 decreases. Take your time here, as it might not be super easy to see your stitches, especially doing decreases all the time. I missed one here and there so often, so make sure to count at the end of your round and, feel free to frog and restart again if you think you missed something. We've now finished our bowl. Well, actually, you might challenge that the bowl is not fully closed, and you're actually correct. But for the very last part of this bowl, we're going to need to complete it by using our darning needle. So fasten off and leave a long tail. How long? Well, it depends, especially if you're at the beginning. Just give yourself a longer tail that you think. Right, so now to close off the hole, we're gonna remove the stitch marker, and we should clearly see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 stitches. We are gonna go from the inside to the outside, and we're gonna only grab the front loop only, like we did for the decrease. So this part of the stitch. And we are going to pull a little bit. And then we keep doing. We just do 1 from inside to outside. Take the second stitch. Inside to outside. The third. Side, outside. Over. Okay. Right. Now, let gently, and by pulling it, we are now closing completely our bowl. Yeah, there's a little bit of the top coming out. Don't worry about that. To finish off, we are inserting our into the bowl, and we come out the side, pull gently again, not too much in order to not disrupt the shape of the bowl, but just enough for it. And then what I do, I try to follow the similar direction of the yarn, so I'm going inside here and coming out again.
other side of ball. And put the yarn through. And I think that in this way, the yarn is secure enough. I can cut. And now I have my finished bow.
Use this formula for any size you want to make. Just remember to make the same number of rounds for each portion of your bow, and you will always have a perfect sphere. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more amigurumi techniques. Ciao!